Hello, world. Happy Monday. Happy November the 13th. I am pumped to be in here dropping this week's Memoir Minute. But before we go into those deets, just a reminder that I'm Allie with the Right Place, Right Time, award winning author and international book coach and ghostwriter with a sweet spot for memoir. Today, I want to talk about three things that you gain from writing your memoir. So, you as the author, what do you get out of this, right? Um, Obviously, the most relevant perhaps to you, or the most tangible thing that you're going to get out of this, right, is a book on the other side of it. But there are a few things that are even deeper than that, that the book actually ends up being the byproduct, even if you went into this going, oh, I'm going to write a book. The first thing that you gain from this experience of writing your memoir and telling your story is perspective. When we are focusing on something that we've been through, we're focusing on telling the story of something we've overcome, something that we've achieved, um, the journey that we've been on to get from where we were to where we are now. It's amazing how we end up with a fresher perspective on those experiences and life events that we went through at some other point in time, right? Because when we are in it, when we are in the experience, we can't always see it clearly. We can't understand what lesson we're supposed to learn. We can't understand how it's going to affect us later. We can't understand where there might be meaning, where there might be connections to other things that have happened in our life, because we are in the emotions, we are in the thick of it, experiencing what's happening. So when you're writing your memoir, however many years later, about that experience, you are going to gain a new way of seeing the thing that you've been through. And with that, there is going to be a feeling of empowerment. You're going to feel empowered about who you are, where you've been from, where you've come from, and where you've been, and how far you've come. Um, you're also going to feel empowered by actually telling your story, right? Because there is something that is truly liberating about saying, this is what happened. This is my truth. This is where I was. This is where I am now. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not judging it. I'm not um, saying that I was perfect in it, right? I'm being real. I'm being raw. I'm being honest. I'm being vulnerable. And while some of those things can be very, very scary, they are also something that makes you feel like you are larger than life and stronger than you've ever been by being able to stand and say, this is it. And I'm not holding anything back. Um, and when you actually put yourself out there in a way that allows other people to see themselves in your story and to come forward and say, oh my gosh, me too, there's also a different level of empowerment that comes from that, right? Because you have empowered somebody else to step forward by what you've done, which is to tell your story and be upfront with your truth, right? And the third thing that you get out of this is a little more healing. And I'm not going to say healing full stop, as if there won't be any more healing ever left to do with that particular episode or challenge or trauma. You might still have some more healing that comes up later when something else is triggered and there's a new layer that's revealed. But there is something that happens on the writing journey when you're telling your story, where you get to integrate pieces of what happened into who you are now, where at first, maybe in the beginning of the journey, you needed to tell the story because you still were processing what it all meant, and how to um, take from what you experienced and make something good out of it, right? Um, and by the time you're done writing, you might finally feel like, I don't have to tell the story anymore. I'm okay now. I have healed that open wound, and it's now a part of my past, and it's a fabric of who I am, but it's not all of who I am, and I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to lay that to rest, if you will. It doesn't mean you forget necessarily. It might not even mean that you forgive entirely, but you're at a different place where maybe it's not the thing that's ruminating in your mind over and over and over again, because you gave it its voice onto the page and you gave it its life outside of yourself by putting it into a book that other people can grapple with. Um, so these are just three things that I see people gaining from writing their memoirs. There are certainly other benefits, but these are three pretty big heavy hitters. So as you're embarking on this journey, remember that this is more than just writing. This is also self-exploration and self-journey and self-transformation, both on the page and off the page. It is an all-encompassing process when you're choosing into this genre. So if you would like to speak a little bit more about writing your memoir, especially as we're gearing up for a new year, and we can say that's my New Year's resolution, please DM me, set up a story stroll. I'd love to talk and hear your story and help you take the next best step on your path to getting your book out into the world, your story told, and gaining that perspective, empowerment, and healing that you so deserve.